Okay, my friends, my compatriots, my fellow family members on a quest, on a journey looking for truth. Well, what are we going to look into today? What's this about? Ancient stone forts turned to glass found in Scotland. That sounds pretty interesting. Here's what happened. As I tell you, every morning I wake up, I got a zillion people asking me, what do you think about this? Well, I never was on Twitter, but somebody sent me a thing saying somebody was talking about you on Twitter, something happened like that. So, but I'm signed into Twitter, or I have a Twitter account or something my wife set up a long time ago. I never used it. But this came through on Twitter, and I thank the person. As a matter of fact, it was this person right here, Stone at 007. Now, so what do I want to talk about here? I have the exact same. This is biology. I say stones are from biological things. Now, let's listen to this, and then I will show you my specimens. I have the microscopes. I have all that stuff. I'm going to show you exactly identical, same stuff. And it's all over the world. Now, this is mystery history. I would love to work with these guys, or somebody like this. I need to get somebody to display the evidence that I have, because it's being terribly suppressed for years and years. And I have DNA support. I have everything. And when you see what I show you in the microscope, it's identical. All right, so here we go. Ancient stone forts turned to glass. Now we're going to take a look at this, and I will show you my stuff. Here we go.
Made using rocks with no mortar. Instead, the rocks on the outer layer of these structures, upon completion, went through an as-yet unknown process.
All right, you see that? That's blood. That's blood. And it vitrifies in certain ways, not because it's been overheated or anything. It's just a natural process. You see the moss growing in here in the lichen? That was where blood flowed through here. That's collagen. All right, that's living on some of the nourishments that's still within the blood. Some blood turns just so hard it can't give up any of its substance. Some is still like softish, and it still has that original material in there. You see these lines in here? I'm going to show you the same stuff I have in mine, but let's continue on it. Well, actually, let me just show you something. This is the same thing. This is basically the same stone. Now, you can't see it well, but I'll show you in the microscope. It's basically the same identical stuff. And I have other ones, and I have all the mud fossil bones, and we'll look at all the fabrics and how the blood goes in there, and the marrow, how that turns, and like regular meaty looking tissue things like that. Some of them turn to metal. You see, that's still the blood right there. That's still where the blood was. But all the rest filtered out the metal. This is a toe. That's a toe. And you will be able to see that's the last of the bone that's in that toe. And like I say, we'll look at this stuff in the microscope. But there's a lot of things they don't understand, like a rock like that. This was a lung. That was a lung. Now, they used, and they're going to talk about this because they thought this was very local and it was only there. Well, no, it's all over the world. And this is the kind of stuff that we're talking about. It's biology, and it solidifies in certain ways, in certain places, according to the chemistry and the temperature and the rain and the puddles of water and the actual depth it is within the earth. Now, let's let them continue. And again, I'm not trying to take credit for any of this stuff. This is doing a great job. And it's history.com.
Of vitrification, the builders of these extreme ancient forts.
Now, when I say extreme ancient, to me, we're talking about directly after the flood, grabbing this stuff in balls and just piling it up, maybe. Or well, you know how the stuff down in Peru looks. All those walls that are all like, they look like they're glued together. There's no seams in between them. They're so perfectly matched, and they're all kind of oddball looking things. That they were done when they were wet. I showed this over and over. And there's machine vehicle tracks down there that they cut those slabs. No mystery here.
Were somehow able to heat the stones to such a degree that the outer layer actually turned to glass,
No, that's not
fixing
true.
the stones in place and making them virtually impenetrable to erosion, meaning that the true age of these miraculous...
You see this? Moss, lichen, it grows in the bloody tissues. These are tissues. Now, I'm not saying they didn't use them to construct something. I see something here that looks like, and actually, you know, that could be tendon matching right up to where this is the bloody glue part between the tendon and the muscle. That's very possible. That's what this is starting to look like now. You see these blood vessels here? And that's how that gluiness is so scrappy and tough, and it goes right between tendons. I'll bet you that's what that is now that I'm looking at it.
miraculous structures may be far, far older than we are led to believe. Although for the first 250 years of study, these forts were presumed to have been exclusive to Scotland, thanks to the results of the research, they have actually begun to turn up in other regions of the world, most specifically Western Europe. With such overwhelming evidence,
Did you just see that thing? It looks like a giant Noto. And they use scraps from this Noto to build whatever they got going on there. I'm serious. They were that big, and they were Notos. Here, I got one here. There it is right there. This is all fleshy. So maybe they use part of it. I don't know. I'm just telling you, I don't know yet. What we need to do is research. And I have very, very good basic understanding of what the fibers and the materials are that are in all the different types of rocks. They call it igneous and metamorphic and ultramafic and mafic and sedimentary and this and that. Well, you can give it a name, that's fine. But I understand where these particular types of stone accumulate in the body. And everything is organic. Everything is organic. The entire earth. Okay, I'm telling you right now, I can show you, based on my research, that anything that you can show me, I can show you is from biology. Some of it's sedimentary, absolutely, which means just eroded biology. There's a chart I have that shows from CaCO3, which is the top limestone, real pure limestone, CaCO3, which is tendinous connective tissues, and then it goes from there down to all marl and all these different types of stones that are stones and bloody parts and tendons mixed together, and then you get to the way to the bottom and you're into clays, and then the very, very finest clays, which are bloody tissues and skin, the fine skins, kaolin clays. They make fine china out of that sort of stuff. It's so slippery, fine, and thin. But you move up from there. Now, if you go into the grip skin of the fingers and the toes, now you're into a scrappy silicon, heavy silicon-based material. I understand these materials extremely well. And I have had DNA tests done on 3 different samples. 2 of them were giants. One of them was this right here. Hold on. Which we will look at these scrappy fibers in this too, because this is exactly what they're talking about in that other thing I showed you before, where they think they made the walls out of and then vitrified them. But no, it's this kind of stuff. This is fascia. Strappy fibers, bloody, different types of blood, black blood, red blood, fibers, and they grow moss and lichen on them in certain conditions where they're in the moisture. Just the way it works. Okay, my friends, I'm saying that they're making a mistake. This is not necessarily a fort. This stuff here, they think they piled around it to make it into a fort. I say that's the remains of a decaying body of some creature, and that was its foot. And that was where the blood ran up from the heel straight up the leg. And this is where the toes were here. And that would have been similar to a no-toe. Hold on. Lights, camera, action. Similar to a no-toe. You see that depression right there? You probably can't see it, but there is red blood that had leaked out from that. But that depression right there is where the bone was. All right, now, the bone has to feed blood up from there through blood vessels right here that go up. Now, you see the reddish looking stuff around here? That's actually blood. Now, not only that, I have one that's identical to this. And it's got the green growing moss out of the blood. That's another no-toe. And you say, oh no, Roger, that can't be a no-toe. Absolutely 100% it is, because I can show you in the microscope. These were constructed. Somebody built these feet. And Tish has a ton of them. And that's where all the blood came out. I could feel the bone impression right there. Now, I am going to show you in the microscope, it's growing out of a fissure of blood, just like it's growing out of blood there. There's no big mystery here. This is exactly the same. It's running off the blood all over. And I will show you in the microscope. Well, as a matter of fact, look up here now. All right, hold on. Let me turn this light off. All right, now, I'm going to show you, first of all, well, let me put this light over here so you can see. This is a lung. That lung was DNA certified human. It was done along with 2 other specimens. Now, I'm going to show you what that lung looks like. Before I kill myself. Now, hold on. This is what that lung fabric looks like. You see that? That's what's on that lung. All right. Now, I'm going to go down to an area where it's real red and bloody. You see this? This is where it's red and bloody. All right. And they're going to be different areas in different places. But this is almost exactly what they were looking at on that fort. Virtually the same. Now, this is DNA certified. Now, don't forget, that's DNA certified, and that's what the pleura of a lung looks like. It's very dense. Here is that no-toe that had the stuff growing off of it. You see that? Let me find a place where it's got more fabric. All right, here's a little place where it's more fabric-y looking. But this is much older. The lung I have is like perfectly preserved. All right, this is much older, but this is what it's made of. Now, here we're going to go up into where this is growing out of the bloody fissure of, there's a crack here where the bone ran. Let me see if I can find it. And this stuff is growing out of the blood of that crack. Let me see what I can find here. See, now we're moving into the stone itself. See how cool that is? And it's growing right into that bloody crack that runs along where the bone was. Very interesting, but anyway, that's that one. Now, here's the other no-toe. Same fabric, you see it? Now, this one still has a skin on it. That's the skin right over the top of the flesh. And it's almost like leather. Well, it is like leather. Now, here's inside the toe. All right, right there is inside where the fleshy stuff is. Now I'm going to move up to where above right here where we go into the fabric. See, there's the fabric. And then I'm going to move down. Watch. You see how it steps down? I'll see if I can rock this so you can see. See? See how that's the thickness of the leather at the top, right over here. Now I'm going to move it down to where we're going to go down, boom. That's where the fleshy stuff is underneath, inside that skin. And that's where the toes really are. That, I believe this is actually the toenail, and then that's the toe underneath it. And that's right here. Hold on. Hold on. And hold it up so you can see. What I was just showing you. Oh, hold on, let me just point this down so I don't hold it up so high. What I was just showing you is that right there. Now, I believe that's where the actual toe is underneath. The toenail is right there, and that's the thickness of the skin that was covering this foot. I mean, that's the leathery portion of the foot. And that's where that bone is. That's where the bone was in the back there, see it? And I tell you what, let me show you up above here where the blood is coming out. All right, hold on, let me get the microscope. I gotta find out where, here it is, right here. Hold on, I gotta turn that light on. We'll get there. Okay, here we go. Now, there's blood coming out of here. This is the no-toe I was just showing you. Alright, and again, it's got the same fabric, the same stuff they all have. Now, here's where the black blood is, where the vein blood is, you see? Vein blood is black. Alright, and that's the black area. Now we move forward to where the red area is, which is the arterial side, and here it is right here. Right. That's where we're getting the red blood is coming up right near where the black blood is. They're usually very close to each other. Now, and this is what the fabric of the skin looks like. It's just exactly like a belt. Exactly like a leather belt. So, these little bumps are what we call the interstitium, and they are the investments where the little tags of the skin hold in so that you can flex around a little bit, but you still come back. Alright, so I hope that made sense to you. Now, just so you can see, let me do one more couple other quick ones. This right here, you should be able to understand, that is a bone. That's the head of a bone. Alright, now we're going to be able to see what this fabric looks like again, because we're going to look at the microscope, and we're going to look at what the marrow looks like, and there's a little tiny tad of a piece of bone left there. And then after that, we're going to look at the, hold on, we're going to look at this, which is a toe, and we're going to look at the blood right there in the toe, and then we're going to look at the bone, and then we're going to look at what the metals turn into. Because it depends on where the thing is and how deep it is in the ground. I talked about all that. Now, here's this bone head. Alright, let me bring this up a little bit. You know what? Let me go to full screen. Hold on. Oh, I guess I gotta find the other mouse. Hold on a second. Alright. Let's just do it this way. Now, here's that bone head. So here's this bone head. Now, here's what we got. That's what the fabric looks like on this. This is what's called periosteum. And it's a fabric, just like all the fabrics, it's what's called fascia, periosteum, but it is made out of collagens and fibers. You see the blood in there? All right. You're going to find all kind of different biology here and there. Now, this right where I am right now, I'm going to go down deep, 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 deep down into this hole. And you see down the bottom of these holes, this hole? This is one big hole, a depression that goes in there like a crater. And you see at the bottom of that crater, all those little dimply looking things? That's what's called a ligament. And that would have been a ball that fit into this big round hole. You see the rim of the hole? Hard to make this thing. See that rim of that hole? Goes all the way around. There would be a ball right in here, locked into those little tiny cavities, and it would be tighter than hell. And I can show you one sticking up from the ground. And what would happen is that piece that I just showed you would be right in there. That's what I was just looking at, what you were just looking at. All right, then there's another bone against this. And there's a little stalk between the two of them, and that one, the other bone, would have a ball just like this. Well, there's one on the earth somewhere where it's like sticking up the ball. You can see the ball that would have all those little dimples on it. And it's just sticking up in the air like a ball with all these bumps all over it. That would be the same ball that would be in there, and then it has a stalk going into the ground. I'll show it to you. Extremely cool. How cool is that? That is the stalk between that ball, which would be in here, and another ball that's in the ground. If you dug, you'd find another ball. This is some kind of other bone that's stuck up against there. It's like this bone is here in the ground, and it still has the little dimples bump above it, and then the other thing here, and then this bone that would have been above is gone. So this like held another bone against it. It's like a humerus and a radius and ulna or something like that. I don't know what it is, but it's something was attached to that with another bone with a ligament. That's what it is. I mean, it's not very hard to understand that. Now, let's look at a couple other things and then we'll close it up. You know, this is probably better to show you a little bit more that hole. You see how that is exactly identical to what you would find here if you popped it over the top of it. And I mean, it's biology. There's nothing I can do about it. And this is some form of a bone that attached to another one. Now it's broken here. Boy, I doubt if you're going to see this. That little bit of bone right there, that's still the tiniest bit of bone. You know, it's brown looking now. If I put a little water on there, you'd see that it would lighten up a little bit, but that's what's just left of the bone right here. It's all that's left. Now, the rest has all turned to, it's been invaded. And whatever the minerals and metals were in there, they stabilized. And all of the coating, the fascia, the tunica, the periosteum, whatever you want to call it, has also stabilized. Now, I can't tell you exactly, you know, the process. That's a bone forum, and that's where blood vessels and nerves and so forth enter. Right, there's maybe a better shot of that bone. Anyway, I think you saw the fibers and all this. They're all the same. They're all the same, every one. So if you can get one of these little microscopes, you're going to be able to walk out and take a look at things and prove to yourself that what you're seeing is what I'm saying they are. Now Tish went out. Let me show you some of Tish's feet. They're unbelievable. All right. Now I'm going to give you a quick tour of Tish's stuff. She saw, or her husband, I guess, saw this thing where I put up Mud Fossil University 15-minute challenge. Find an identifiable mud fossil body part in under 15 minutes. Results 100% success. Everybody has been able to do it. So her husband saw this, and said, you know, Tish is into crystals and all kinds of things like that. She's very talented, and decided, well, we'll take them up on it. They went out, and in 15 minutes, here's what she found. I'm serious. She'll back me up on this. She found all these no toes. And when I say no toes, they have toes, and mine do too, but they're inside. It's really covered like this, and hers were in multiple forms of disarray and decomposition. Now, then she also had, oh, that's my stuff. Then she had, that's some other ones. These are some giants, and they are giants. I tell you what, here's a giant fingertip, DNA certified giant fingertip. And I'll show you, look, might as well look at the fabric, in the microscope. The microscope's on. Oof, I'll tell you, this is a mess. All right, hold on a second. Everything takes time, my friends. Now, we're going to look at that giant fingertip, and here it is. There is the fabric of the giant fingertip, which is the fabric of life. They all have this same looking fabric, and this is the interstitium. You see those little tiny balls? This is right on the skin. This is almost, because all there was above this was just a slip of skin, and those balls anchor the flesh underneath in sort of a gooey layer, and then your skin and everything can move around. These are the interstitium balls. Now, if I move into another spot, now I'm going to go up underneath where the fingernail was. You see all these holes in here? That's where blood ran through here. All right, and you're going to see different accumulations of different minerals and metals in different places. See this here? That's where the blood comes way down from underneath up into the fingertips, and it ran through there. And over here, here's another one, another area that looks pretty interesting. These are caves now. See, there's the interstitium. We go way down inside. Those are the caves that they're exploring now. I'm serious. And some of them are gigantic. You see the interstitium balls all over? Anyway, and this was DNA certified, so it's not like it's a guess or anything. Here's a place where you have more of the fibrous tissue. But this is almost like perfect. Now, underneath where the grip skin was, I don't know if you'll see any on this. A little bit here and there. See the fabric, the white stuff? That's the grippy stuff, the grip skin. I have another one over here. There was another one, well, I'll show it to you. DNA certified. DNA certified. And giant, equivalent to us of approximately 200 feet tall. And that is the fingerprints from the fingertip. It's so perfect, the fingernails there and everything. These are the sweat pores in the fingerprints. I'll show you the whole fingernail, the whole finger and the fingernail and all that. It's 30 inches wide. And this was DNA certified. Now, let's look at this in the microscope. All right, same stuff. You see it? There's that same grippy looking stuff. Now, this is the grippy skin of a finger, of the grip skin. This is tough, gnarly stuff. It would rip you to shreds. Now, coming up the side of the finger here, it starts to go into the regular fabric-ish. Now, inside, underneath, so now we're going to go, this broke off in a layer, because you have layers of skin on you, the same thing. This is the layer. Underneath here is where the blood vessels and all are. So let's take a look at some blood vessels. I'm just going to scan around here because I have no idea what I'm going to find. Let's go find something that's got blood, because blood's got to come up in a lot of places. All right, there's a little bloody area. There's blood coming up through there somewhere. Let me find one that's real good. Hold on. See down in there? That's where blood will run up to the fingertip. You see all the fabric and fibers? That's what makes grip skin tough. Anyway, that's this gigantic fingertip. And that, again, DNA certified. Now, here's the metal one. Remember I told you we had the metal one? All right, here's where the blood is. You see the blood splotched there? All right, that's where all the blood ran out. Now, backed up behind it is all these metals. See, that's shiny. See all the shininess that's going in there as I twist it. Where you see it glowing like that, it could be gold. I don't know. You see the flashy gold looking flashes? You hit it with just the right light, and you got all kinds of metals. Very, very cool. Look at that. Isn't that something? I'm going to go real slow. Let me focus in on this. This is very cool. All right, now, as I turn the light and it hits all those different metal flakes at different angles, you get all those different flashes. And there's the blood again. That was a toe at one time. Now, let's see if we can find the bone. Hold on. All right, this is the last bit of bone at the very end. Right here. Let me see if I can home in on it. That is what's left of the bone. That little white splotch right there. You can see it's sort of rounded to the right. Anyway, that's what happens to them when they solidify. And the other one was this one here was one of the ones that was like the petrified fork. You see what it looks like? You find a nice bloody spot. See it? Now, there's minerals and metals in here too that are within the blood, and you're going to see them actually running. Those little that little brown blob over there next to that red little strip, that's some form of collection of some type of a mineral, and it got plugged up there for some reason. You know, the size of the molecule, whatever it was, the specific gravity, such and such. All right. What else? This one is a lung, and you see how all the blood in between the fibers of the lung, those different minerals and those different colored little crystals in there. That is the actual lung itself. And they have different properties which cause them to have different colors. It's as simple as that. And then in between them is all the blood. And there'll be spots that are vein blood, which is black and blue and so forth. And then there's a red blood, which is the arterial blood. And then, of course, you have to have some supporting tissue. I have a lung here somewhere. Here's one. All right, this is a regular little lung. All right, see the holes in there where all the blood flowed through there. All the blood leaked out except for, like, there's some, you can see that red spot there. That's still pretty much bloody. See all the red blood there? Those are all lung lobes. Now you get up here and a lot of that is gone, and all you have left is the structure. You see the structural components. You have a little red spot there, here and there. But mostly it's the structure is left. And sometimes they will form crystals in those vugs. We were talking about this the other day. There's Herkimer diamonds, I think they call them. You got to find one that had blood next to it. There was one around. I think there was just one in here with a crystal. Oh, here it is, right here. I think this is it in here somewhere. Oh, maybe not. Yeah, there we go. You see that one right? Whoops. That one right there. That is going to become a crystal. That would form to become a crystal. And they grow in these holes, which they call vugs. And the Herkimer diamonds, I went up there with my kids and we found some. You know, they're just quartz crystals is all they are. They're not really diamonds. Diamonds are a compression material. These just grow crystals. All right, so don't get confused and think they're worth a ton of money. They're not. And that's what they do. They grow crystals like that one up there on the left, inside those little holes. Sometimes they're perfect, sometimes they're just a mess like this. All right, so I suppose that's enough for now. Here's a heart that completely lost everything, and now it's just solid glass. But it has all the heart fibers running through it. Now there's a little bits of blood here and there still stuck in it. But this, I don't know what conditions this was in, why it turned the way it turned. These are all the things that need to be studied. Why do some of these turn to glass? Like this one. Literally, it's inside, it's virtual glass. Now, you're going to find all of these fibers and all kinds of neat stuff. But then you have another one, which was the same as that one, only this one is still got the blood in it. It's still got the red blood in it. It's the same thing. But that red blood is still in this one. This is a heart. And this is from a different angle, cut across. And this is from the outside. See? That's the outside. Now there's an area there that had to, like this spot right here is where the aorta or something was, where it glued some other biology to this heart. It's right up in here. There's an area right in here where it's all gooey. Now there's another area here that's kind of gooey, and I imagine that had, because you got your aorta and then you got a couple other things that plug in up there. Anyway, so much to investigate, and it hasn't been really considered important to look at. And we, like, again, now let's go back to Tish. I know I got off track here. This is the one that we really want to look at, because I have the no toes. Here, we're back with Tish. All right, now I have the no toes as well. That's mine. She's got them in a condition where we can look inside of them and see what's there. Now, every foot we have modern feet are like this, with a ball on the back and a big strap coming up this way that goes to a big heavy tendon that runs up the leg. All right, well, so did the no-toes. They had a big ball in the back, just like that, and they had a big heavy tendon that ran up, apparently, to somewhere up here. Now, the bone that sat down there, just like this bone would sit, boom, in that saddle. This is literally the springs that drove this foot. And these springs, that one comes up, it pulls this one in, and you go zip, zip, and and it would come right back down. It's actually designed, it has springs and latches and tabs and all kinds of things in here. And I've shown this many times. So, why is this not important? Let me show you. She got a whole leg. Now, I believe this is the same style. It has those springs. The heel looks a little different, although it is, that's the big heel. Now, I really don't, but this is a leg. And this is tendinous material. And then it's fused with biological material, but it looks like it looks almost like a machine. And this one here is in a different state of decomposition. It may not even be the same species. I have a minimum of 3 different no-toe species here. She has, I don't know how many different ones, or even if they are different, but they're definitely worthy of investigation. And I presented this, Tish has too, and nobody's interested. It's very interesting that they are saying the things they say about our past and about how we evolved and, all of those different things, and Darwin and the Big Bang and everything that's presented that sheds a little bit of a different light on that. It won't be allowed to be seen. To my mind, that is not really acceptable. I mean, silence is not an option when you're professing. When you profess, you have to confront. You can't just be quiet. That's not right. Okay, if you've been around long enough, you know that I say that everything there is was soft at one time after the Great Flood, and it is all on the surface of the earth. Now listen to this as we go forward here.
After examining these facts, could be seen as a desperate attempt to continue to deny the existence of a highly aware, highly capable, intercontinental, ancient civilization.
Now, highly capable and with high-tech equipment.
Which once flourished here on our planet.
You see this? That is from soft stone and some form of a machine. Let me show you where else we see things of this nature. Once again, shown it a zillion times. These are down in Peru and Bolivia, where they had some kind of a machine with tank treads that was in the soft, wet flesh and cut these big slabs, transported them, and made walls out of them. They cut these slabs as that machine did whatever it did. There's another place, different area. That's blood. This was in wet tendon, obviously. It was wet when it did this. There's no question whatsoever. And that in mud fossil understanding, and it can be proven now. This is not something that's going to be a mystery if somebody would investigate it. That is from tendon. And they took those chunks of wet tendon and they brought them back here and put them in walls and seamed them together. They didn't need any mortar. However, this one here, they took a piece of bone that was still left in here, which is not really a good thing because it's obviously eroded, after 3,000, 4,000 years, whatever, 5,000 years. And this one here, what a mess that piece is. Now, but these walls are the kind of walls they say how perfect they are. And they are. Some of them are absolutely flawless. And the ones that have the little bumps on them were made from the flat tendons. The ones we just saw were made from Achilles-type tendons, the real strappy stuff. These are made from the flat tendons, and these are the straps where the straps ran over into bumps, the balls that locked in. You see that? That's the tendon mats, and they break these little tabs right off there. That's why you got the little tab. Normally it would run into a ball, and the ball would be locked down somewhere below. So they're just cutting them off right here, taking those slabs, because they're only thin slabs of tendinous material. But primarily, most of the time, it's calcium, CaCO3 limestone. And then there's different formulations of it, because it's really collagens and keratins and the fibrous materials and the structural CaCO3 primarily. But then there's all kinds of other minerals, and it depends on if it's flexible, if it's stretchable, if it's not stretchable. Your body knows how to make all of these different formulations. And what they did was they cut that off. And the way that wall was set up, it looked to me like it was a test wall to see the best way to use these things. Because there's no other reason for it. They had like 4 or 5 different ways. Well, let's go back and take a quick look at it. All right, this is like something I would do. Let's see how they work when you scrub them flat. Because there might be holes in it. I don't know what they did exactly, to be honest with you. But it looks to me like they were testing something here. Because it doesn't look like this is moved. I don't understand, really. I've got to be honest with you, I do not understand it. But it does show the same bumps. And you can see, if you look at them real close, you can see there's actually biology going right into that hole. Again, no mysteries here. It just has to be looked at.